Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. All right, Ciaran, man, you got this fight coming up in London. We're gonna jump right into it, man. You got this opponent, Zebenzui Ruiz. I hope that's right. I don't know. Do you know how to pronounce his first name?
No, I don't know. I know his second name Ruiz, so yeah, Spanish guy. So it's hard to pronounce. Us Irish are hard to pronounce things like that.
Yeah. I'd rather pronounce Irish names, man. It's much easier.
Yeah. I'm sure he's probably used to it better.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you look at him, man, like, what do you think of the fighting style that he has? I'm pretty sure you've watched a couple fights.
Yeah, no, he's a good lad. I'd say he's solid everywhere. I think he fights both stances. One fight we're watching, he's orthodox and he's doing pretty well there. He's finishing guys, and then other fights he's southpaw. But I think I have a theory to that though. But anyway, yeah, no, he fights both stances. He's a good grappler. He seems physically strong. I wouldn't say he's like I'd say he's more of an MMA grappler in the sense even though I have seen him do jiu-jitsu competitions and stuff as well, but I think he's more maybe of a front choke guy and he's more of a maybe ground and pound, but I don't think he'd be kind of that slick in the sense he's trying to go to your back or things like that. So yeah, watch enough of him to know the things he's good at and what to watch out for, and of course the biggest thing is where I feel I can win the fight.
For sure. And I was talking to, a coach about this, and he was saying that, like, the jujitsu aspect of in MMA is neglected a lot nowadays because everybody wants to be, a ground and pound striker and all of that. Do you feel the same way?
Um, I think maybe the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu, like the what am I trying to say? I think people forget the effectiveness of it. I think even if you watch, which it's coming back a lot more. If you watch Dan Hooker the weekend, going for them front chokes and ninja chokes or the guillotines even, or and Leon Edwards even actually very very good at it. To stop the takedowns and to do that in camera is unbelievable. It could be the way the sport is going. You know, I think with the judging systems changed a little bit. It used to favour the wrestlers more. Now it's like it's all a bit damage. Which sometimes you kind of might see a bit of bogey decisions. It's the guy could land one hard jab and I get it's a fight, it's damage, but and then he's getting controlled for a round. And it's like, well, there's a man holding you up against the fence here. He's holding you down. You can't get him off. So and again, like I said, the sport's going that way in the sense, it's favouring the strikers, and you know, um, I really think things like that, so yeah, like that. I think the jiu-jitsu side of it is probably lacking, but there's two mindsets. I think that's why. I think it's like I said to stop takedowns and to be more attackive and offensive. We're seeing it coming back for defense wise as well, to have you thinking about it. And then as far as the offense, I think people realize, right, okay, certain things aren't going to work in MMA, and I'm not going to pass to side control. I'm not going to, I want to have my hands free when I'm striking, or control with my legs more, or it's things that this that like it the little small decision making that separates, and I think the sport has grown in that sense. But yeah, I think maybe because it's favouring the strikers a bit more now, it's probably lacking a little bit.
Yeah, well, like you said, the front choke and the ninja choke. If you're getting choked, you're gonna let go of the takedown, man, because that doesn't feel good at all. If you ever been choked out, you know how it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, you need to respect that, So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you definitely do respect it. You're right, man. If you do it one time, they might not go for more takedowns. To be honest with you, it might, yeah, it be ineffective like that.
Yeah, definitely, and as well, it limits you then, kind of. I think then with Dan Hooker, and because he's a tall guy, then Gamrot, maybe you can't put your head in the hole. You can't put your head down there. So, you have to you're probably maybe limited then to upper body attacks, and doing that in a taller guy is a lot harder. So really, a lot of these fights are coming up recently, and like I said, the Leonardo's is really good at it. Never wrestled in his life, but look at what he's doing against the Kamaru Usmans and the likes. And yeah, so like I said, I think lacking in one area, but it's doing a lot better, and it's on the come up in other places. And again, that's MMA. I think, like I said, not to repeat myself, but things jiu-jitsu aren't going to work tactically in MMA, because of the stand up. If we go jiu-jitsu, it's clap hands, fist bump, and it's like I could just stand up. So and I think Gordon Ryan and those guys are actually realizing that now, wrestling up from the bottom and stuff, and so
Yeah, man. When you look at your record so far, you've choked out quite a few people yourself. You're very
yeah.
effective with the chokes. And let's talk about your last fight earlier this year. You got the finish in the third round. But up to that point, what I mean, like, how effective was your preparations for the fight, do you think? Like getting ready for your opponent and using things that you practiced in training in the fight?
As far as fight camp boys, it was probably the worst one I've ever had. I had an injury about 9 weeks out. So I was trying to work around that. I couldn't really, I couldn't spar. I could go live jiu-jitsu and wrestling, but I couldn't spar or anything. It was very hard to juggle to, what would I say, to kind of work around that. And then 2 weeks before it, to the day nearly, I got shingles. So I was on antibiotics for like 10 days because they actually the doctor diagnosed me wrong, and then on the Monday then I was on the wrong antibiotics for a few days, and then I had to go on another antibiotic for another week. So I finished the antibiotic the Monday of the fight. So, and like I was walking back and forth with my coaches, and it's like they're telling me to rest because shingles is no joke, and it affects your cardio. And it's very hard when you're cutting weight, and you're just very anxious about, look, normally I'd be burning calories here, and X, Y, and Z. And so that was very hard to juggle things like that and to work around that, like, but thank God I did. And the fight actually turned out great. I mean, I come out unscathed, and I think I won all, dominated all the rounds, and yeah, got to finish in the end. So but as far as the preparation, I suppose specifically for the opponent, and I knew he was of Iranian descent, so I knew he had good wrestling. I knew that about him. Like he was a bit of a, he'd be kind of like he was, studying a lot, and I knew he took the game serious, and yeah, like he was finishing lads in the first round, so I knew that as well. But then I seen amateur, he went 5 rounds, and just really trying to, like, I probably maybe did a little bit too much into him. Maybe it worked out, I don't know, but like I did a little bit too much. I was kind of nearly, considering circumstances, the way the camp went and stuff. Maybe like I was a bit too respectful, but like that, it did turn out well, and I did well. But I'm going back to me always, where like I'm just focusing more on myself, and yeah, like that, you learn if you camp.
For sure, for sure. And you said you had an injury, and then you had the shingles after the fight. Like, how long did it take for you to kind of get back to normal to be able to like go back to training and everything?
Yeah, like, to be honest, like it's very hard for me to find the fine line, between, like, because like it's like, oh, you take a week off, and it's like then you're back into it, and it's like, if you know fighters, like that's what we're fighters, which just back to just hammering the nail, and it's just going at it, and it's hard to find the fine line, So I took a week off, and then I was back to it. I wasn't like back sparring for a while or anything, or like things like that, like, but I was like running hard and stuff. So it is hard, but it did take me a while. It took me a few weeks to like get back to myself, because like that I didn't feel myself in the camp, and it did take a while, like, that's why, like, Mike Kyogan was like to me in the night. He was like, Dublin, and I was like, I need to have a chat with you, because that was like 12 weeks to the day until Dublin. And I was like, I need to have a chat, like, and obviously I spoke with John and my coaches, Dave Roach, as well, and stuff, and we ironed things out like that, and said, look, it'd be best to have this one down in London, because yeah, I did not feel myself, and I needed to get back to myself, like, yeah, I needed to get back to ground zero, should we say.
Was that the worst like camp that you've ever had ahead of a fight?
yeah, like it was the worst camp, say, like, because like you've what 12 to 8 weeks preparation, and but to be honest, when I look back, like I I was a lot like I was probably a lot more fresher in the sense mentally. Like it's hard to explain. Like my nervous system was probably more rested, considering I was going through antibiotics and stuff, but I was a lot more sharper mentally. I was like I was sharper mentally, but as far as like anxiety wise and like did you do enough sparring and natural things was coming into your mind, and so maybe anxiety wise it was like high, but then like other things would have gained from that, from the rest and the so it's hard to say, like, and again I would have done a lot more drilling because I wasn't doing a lot of sparring and stuff, so like you know lower impact in the body, but like you're getting your reps and but then you're not getting that intensity. So it's like each camp has its own, pros and cons, So yeah, like that, looking back in hindsight, it's always like, look, oh, well, maybe it worked out. But in the time, in the moment, it was like, yeah, it was a lot of anxiety thinking, you know, X, Y, and Z. But look, I kept the faith and a lot of, did a lot of praying and yeah, like just handing that trust over to God, and thank God it worked out in the end, like I said.
Yeah, I'd figure that you built a lot of confidence from that, man. Just be going through that, like physically and mentally. You know what I mean? It all kind of like intertwines.
Yeah, big time, big time. And look, each one like has its own purpose. And like we've went into fights without realizing that I had a broken nose, and then it was only after the fight that when I was getting like CT scans and stuff that I had a broken nose, and I realized, all right, okay, that shot was like a broken nose, and or like yeah, I went into fights with like jacked up necks and certain things like, but that one was like they were all part of the process of the training, and none of us are 100% getting in there, but it was like I think that was like those things were consequences of the preparation, and of course again the things that happened in that camp were that as well. But yeah, like I said, it was a tough one. It was a tough one, like and just trying to like get back to ground zero was the main thing after that fight, like.
And you debuted with Bellator in 2019, and you've had every single fight with them, undefeated as a professional. How do you feel about like the progress that you've made throughout every single fight with the promotion, and to the point you're at right now?
Yeah, like I'm so grateful I was able to. I had a a long enough amateur career. Like I stayed there maybe 8 years as amateur, and I did 24 amateur fights, and I would have had a lot more with the way things worked out and stuff. But yeah, like I mean, and like come back to that, I'm very grateful I started there because like it was like straight away in the and now I was ready for it because of the amateur experience, but it was straight into the pressure cooker. I was straight into the big shows, the Dublins, the sold out arenas, the big shows, big fights. So, and that's what matters really. You know what I mean? Like that's what matters because like you can be the best in the gym, but like if you're not going in there on the night and doing the job on the night in those situations, the stadiums, the arenas and the when it matters, you know what I mean? Because you know unfortunately we're in a sport where it is all about your record and stuff, and everybody's hung up on it, and but like that, like another thing about maybe put it into perspective for me to put things like that is like win or lose, you go into the gym and like the week after the fight, whatever, it's like, oh, well done, fist pump, and it's like, okay, right, you're back in the mat, and it's like, right, the next guy's preparing for something, the next guy, and the next guy, and it's not like, it's just like, win or lose, it doesn't define you, of your skill set. Does that make sense? It defines the result, of course, which it matters. That's what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? We're dealing with a sport. It's a sport. It's the event. You know what I mean? So, like that, I was very grateful to be able to be putting them. Granted, they're very high stress, pressure cooker situations, but I was able to do it in those circumstances. And going forward, that's an experience for me. Whereas I feel you start off in the lower shows, you know, it's hard when you go into those big arenas and everybody's there for you, or you know that's where it matters, and yeah, like that, as I said, I'm grateful I have that, in the back pocket, like for these big occasions. And like you said, I've 9 fights with Bellator, and they've all been big fights, and each fight is as big as the other, so
Yeah, man, it prepares you. Like you said, the amateur career prepares you for those moments, and those moments, going through those, it prepares you for the bigger moments and bigger fights. And now you're 29 years old, man. Like, do you feel like you're in your prime yet?
I'd say probably. Um, I'm not sure. Like, I don't feel like you know. I don't know. I don't feel like any different to the, like. Obviously, there's a lot of things different to when you're 20. Like like um, what would I say? Like even like you know, like not like just you would have been like your metabolism slows down. You're not able to eat as you want as much more and stuff like that. Like obviously, and like being young and stuff. But then on the back end of that, you were doing like mad training. You know what I mean? You were probably in the mat for 3 hours at a time. And just things that you have to be a little bit more. That probably comes with experience. That probably comes with knowledge as well, and where I am at in my career and stuff. So I don't feel like too like like the body's giving in or anything like that. It's nothing or like because I'm 29 or anything like that, and of course I'm still young. There's people doing it until they're 40 years of age. Like, but what I mean is maybe physically, this is me prime from probably like 29, like late 20s to like early 30s. That's physically your prime, probably, So probably it is. But as far as like, like some people say, oh, after a certain age or after a certain how many fights or, but thank God, like, I've had no major like surgeries or anything like that. Like, and the most major thing probably I've had mad injuries like and sicknesses and stuff like that, but I've never had like to get surgery or anything, thank God, like I said. So yeah, I think I've definitely a few more miles in the clock, like.
Yeah, I feel like you're ready for that moment though, to get that top 10. You know what I mean? To get in there, at least next year, probably at least by next year, right? And chase after the title in Bellator. Do you feel like that's kind of like the plan for you right now?
Yeah, like definitely I think like I said, I've been fairly vocal about like that. I don't like to talk too much ahead. I take each fight as it is. I'm not this undefeated guy, like like that's just I'm 0-0. The next fight is I'm trying to go 1-0 and I'm trying to beat this guy. He's 12-3. He's a good lad, and I think if I get by him, please God, I think like that could be the next step. I think that would be the progression. I'm 10-0 then, and yeah, I think maybe then it's the and not to, this guy could be as good as any of them. It's nothing to do with that. It's just that the names out there, you have a name or you're this or you're that, or because we all know like you can train with guys and you don't know people don't know who they are and they're killers. Like, and then next letter you go with some guys like whatever wherever he is in a promotion, and you're like, oh right, he's two hands, he's 2 feet, and he's, do you know what I mean? It's like, but so like that, as I said, get by this guy, and then it's those names, it's those rankings, and again like that, I'm looking forward to you know forward to them challenges.
What are your expectations out of yourself in this fight coming up? Like, what type of performance do you want to show?
I want to show the improvements that I've been making, and I want to show I still haven't felt like that. I was able to show. Um, Again, that's coming. That it's coming. It's coming. I really do feel it's coming. But I feel like the work that my coach has been putting in and with me and stuff, and uh, you know, I feel it doesn't and it's not like out of like sourness or anything like that. Oh, like I'm never like after I used to be an amateur, like but I'm never after fights now. Like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Like, obviously, you are, but like, and I'm my biggest critic. Like, I don't obsess over watching myself and stuff. But I know where I went wrong or where I could have made things easier or better. So like, I think I want to like show that, type of way. I want to show. Everybody's in there trying to show what they know they can do themselves in the gym. So it's not. I'm no different. I feel just showing like a percentage of me striking, and hopefully I can show a bit more of that. And the work I've been putting in with me coaches Dave Roach and me boxing coach Ciaran Clarke the last I don't know how many years now, 4 or 5 years, and just things that like I want to be able to show, and to, like that the training in the gym to translate to the fights, and that's what we're all about, because I think that's the goal, so that's what I hope for the next fight.
And you're in the bantamweight division. The champion is Patchy Mix. Like, what do you think of him as the champion right now?
honestly, I have a lot of respect for Patchy Mix. I actually, in my opinion, I actually think he's the best bantamweight in the world. Any promotion. I think Bellator PFL really do have the best bantamweight in the world, and I think he's a tall order for anybody. He's a brilliant fighter. I think he's even a great style. Like going back to the jiu-jitsu style, he's an attacking guy. And like you see he gets taken down, but he has the threat of the submission, so. And his striking, I mean, if you've seen him knock his stats with the knee, and he's a tall, longer guy. He's a big guy, so like me personally, I think he's the best bantamweight in the world. Like I always see him and Marab training. I'd love to be I'd love to be flying all in them sessions because I'd love to see how one deals with the other, if that makes sense. Because again, Marab is, again, I think he's gonna beat O'Malley as well. But yeah, so I do think he's the best in the world, number one,
Maybe you're gonna have to fly to Vegas and step on the mats over there for a couple weeks. You know what I mean? Just to see,
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
test it
exactly,
out.
man. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like that. Yeah, the two boys are in Vegas, yeah, of course. So, like that, yeah. So, they've a good thing going over there and that as well. So, yeah, there you go.